So yeah, welcome everybody, and we will get started with this session now. I give the floor to Sylvia.
Shall I enter the poll or?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay, yeah, welcome. Yeah, so my name is Sylvia Dominguez. I'm the program director of the Bachelor in Economics and Business Economics. And I think it's extremely weird to be meeting you in this way. Well, I cannot see anyone, so I'm like talking to my screen. But we think it's very important to have this because there are many questions, and this is at the moment the only way in which we can try to address them. So what I will tell you is I will be very brief in the program, because I think it's very important that you get room to ask questions. That's in the end what it is about. But I will tell you some things about the program, and I have some slides there, and some of them are just in case there are questions we can refer back. I already saw that there was some questions while we were waiting for people to start, so I will try to address at least the questions that I've seen until now. And throughout the presentation, at the end of the presentation, we will continue with the other ones. So welcome to everyone. Economics, business economics. Perhaps because before we start, crazy times. This also means that next year will still be crazy. We have decided that as of the 1st of September, at least the first semester, we will be offering all courses online. And where possible, we will be offering some offline things. The offline things will be all on top of the online modules. So people from abroad or people from within the Netherlands who can reach Amsterdam not so easily, the offline parts that we will offer should not be of any restriction from finalizing the courses. As soon as we know whether in the second semester we will start to offer the courses really offline, then we will inform you, of course, in time so that you can make the arrangements necessary. But at least the first semester we start online. So let me move a bit through the program. So you have seen many presentations already online, so I will not have much more to add because the program, of course, has not changed. So the program looks as follows. So we have a program of 6 semesters, so three years. So the first 3 semesters are a foundational part, and then at the end of the first semester of the second year, you will choose either the major economics or the major business economics. And then within the last 3 semesters, you will specialize in one of the 2 majors. So the first year is the foundational year, and in the foundational year, you will get courses in economics, which are microeconomics 1 and macroeconomics 1. You will get courses in business economics, which are financial accounting 1, economics of markets and organizations, and finance 1. And you will get some quantitative courses and courses that help you improve your analytical skills. These are mathematics 1 and statistics 1. So our program is not a mathematics education. So it's not a bachelor in mathematics, but mathematics will be important in many of the courses that we have within economics and business economics. So we want you to improve your mathematical skills or to get some additional knowledge in these, which is relevant for economics and business economics. Besides that, we also think that academic writing and research skills are an important element of academic education. That's why we have, at the end of each semester, we have a project course. In the first semester, this is Principles of Economics and Business 2, where you will learn academic writing. And at the end of the second semester, that is Research Project, where you will be trained in research skills. Then let me move to year 2. So in year 2, you choose your major. So either economics or business economics. And what you can see is the courses that you will get in the different semesters of the second year. As you can see within economics, you get additional training in micro and macro, and additionally also some mathematics, because mathematics is more important even for economics. And within business economics, you get some additional core courses in business economics. Then in year 3, it's up to you. So you have freedom to choose. So there are 3 options that we offer you. So you can either in the first semester do an internship. That means that you go and work in a company and you work towards solving a practical problem within that company. So this will give you the practical skills that are relevant within companies, and it will help you in applying the knowledge that you have acquired in the first 2 years to a really practical problem. The second option is that you can go and study abroad. So you can go to one of our partner universities and follow a semester of courses there. So you can learn a new educational system and a new culture in a new country. And the third option that we offer is a minor. A minor is a structured program of a semester. So you get courses really specialized within that topic. This can be very close to economics. Think of sustainability and economics. Or it can be very far away from economics, like art history. It depends on your interests. I think what is important to remember is that year 3 is really targeted at giving you the opportunity to design your own program with the interests that you have yourself. And then in the second semester, you specialize. So what are the majors about? So the major in economics. The major in economics is about the use and allocation of scarce, alternatively applicable resources. So it's about scarcity. How do you make decisions when resources are scarce? So if we think about it, there are many examples I can use, and in other presentations I've given other examples. But in current times, of course, we have to think about what's currently in the news. Unfortunately, that's the coronavirus, but what does economics want, or what does economics have to do, or what is relevant within economics when we think about the current news? So when we look in the news, there's a lot of debate about the budget deficits increasing in the coming years, but also the national debt. This is an important topic within economics. So when we think about the Netherlands, then we might think, okay, there are not so many problems because the Netherlands has a very healthy finances. So then it will probably be very good in absorbing this shock that we get now. Other countries that have less healthy finances might have much more trouble in dealing with these additional shocks that come from the coronavirus. So this is something where economics has a lot to say. Of course, there are many more examples I could give, but I want to keep it brief because I've given in the other presentations different examples. So it is about economic decisions of individuals, but also about countries and how the government, or when the government would want to intervene. When we look at the major in business economics, then as the name already says it is that the knowledge of economics is applied to business problems. Again, we can use the coronavirus crisis or the corona crisis as an example, or as why business economics is relevant. And one example that I want to name here is that when the corona crisis started, we saw a sharp drop in the stock exchange. So this is clearly something that is very relevant within business economics. So what are the consequences of this sharp drop in stock exchange for companies, for investors, for governments? So it's very broadly affecting the whole economy. But also more recently, we saw that Heineken decided to reduce the remuneration pay of the remuneration of executives because the sales of Heineken had dropped. So this is also something which is relevant within business economics. So to sum up, business economics is using the economic toolbox to explain business problems. So before I move on to the career perspectives, let me perhaps address one of the questions I saw when we were just starting. It was about, okay, but what is now the difference between economics and business administration? So many of you might have really this divide and between should I do economics and business economics or should I do business administration? So in terms of topics, we share a lot of topics. We also share specializations. So I think what you should take into account is that our approach is differently. So within economics, we have a much more analytical and focused approach to problems. So we really focus on getting to the core of the problems. So you get very well trained in analytical thinking. These are skills that are very relevant in the business life, where in the end, many of you will end up. Within business administration, the approach is much more broad. So they also look at other disciplines that might be relevant for answering business problems. They also have a few other specializations. So we share two, finance and accounting and control. So the main difference then is that the specializations are the same, but the way in which you get to these specializations is different. Within economics and business economics, it's more analytical, more focused on economic toolbox. Within business administration, it's much more broad. Then besides these two specializations, economics has different specializations. It has economics. So if you are interested in economics, then you should do economics and business economics because you cannot do economics from business administration. If you are interested in some of the other specializations of business administration, then this is probably the better bachelor for you. But of course, we share a lot of problems. We are all interested in decisions. So in the end, we share the same type of discipline. What are the career perspectives? So our students, the majority of our students decide to do a master after the bachelor program. But some of our students more recently have also decided to start working after the bachelor. In the economic culture, it's much more uncommon to start working after your bachelor program. So in the past, we haven't had much experience with this. So now recently, we see much more students starting after the bachelor already their career. So the type of jobs where they end up are endless in the sense that you can name a firm or an institution, they will need an economist. So we have students working at the government, at banks and industry, consultancy. Some of our students start their own company and some of our students end up at university. I've listed some of the organizations where we have students, but this is a very limited list. I think that we have students everywhere. You name a big company, we will have it. Also, the prospects are good. Most of our students find a job in a very quickly after finishing their bachelor degree. So I think that at least with respect to the career perspectives, there's not really an issue. We have good career perspectives for our students. So just to wrap up before we move to the questions. So why economics and business economics at the UvA? Just to summarize, we think we offer a challenging and interesting program. You have a lot of freedom in the third year, so you can design your own program and choose things that fit your interests. We have an excellent international reputation, and we have many nationalities at our campus, so we have a very diverse student and teacher population. So this was my part of the presentation, very short, but I want to leave also room for questions. So Paula has been assembling some questions and we will try to address them. So please use the chat to ask your questions and we will be answering them if we can, of course. So Paula, please.
Thanks for the presentation, Silvia. You already answered one of the questions that I actually thought I will keep for later because, with the difference with business administration. So hopefully that's clear to everyone. we do have some, what are, maybe this one is also nice for everyone. What are the differences between this study and econometrics?
Yeah, so if we compare it to econometrics, within economics and business economics, the focus is much more on intuition about economic problems. And within econometrics, you get a much stronger training in mathematics, statistics. So I think it's just the approach. So econometrics is just much more technical than economics and business economics. So if you're interested in the technical part, really the mathematics and the statistics, then, and you are very good in it, then perhaps econometrics is a better choice because it fits better with your interests. If you are more interested in, well, how can I explain what I find, and what does it tell me, and how can this be a solution, or what type of mechanism, then economics and business economics is a better choice, I think.
Thank you for explaining that. I was also thinking, for those of you who are maybe torn in between these two options, there's also a recording of the webinar of econometrics, so you can also listen to that. Maybe my colleague can share the link in the chat. We also got some questions about the number of students who you typically enroll, and also how many first-year students there typically are. I think first-year students is between 300 and 400, but please correct me if I'm wrong, Sylvia.
Yeah, so we have a bit more.
Sorry.
In the previous years, so the last few years, it's more or less stable around 550 to 600 first-year students.
Thank you. And we also got a question about the dropout rate. So how many students drop out after the first year?
That's around 45 to 40% dropout.
Thank you. And then there were also some questions about the requirements, but I see Danny, my colleague, is very fast in answering them. Let me just check. Oh yeah, this one is also a good one from Anya. Sylvia, you also already said something about that at the beginning, because of course we live in very uncertain times with Corona and everything. And Anya is asking if the teaching process will be conducted, how it will be conducted in the first semester, and would it be mandatory for us to come to Amsterdam? I'm assuming that Anya is probably living somewhere else in Europe or the world.
Now, so the first semester, at least, we have decided that everything will be online. That means that we will try to decide whether we can have some offline activities, but that is mostly on top of. So we want to, so the times are, even for us, times are super crazy. So we just don't know what will happen. And given that we cannot predict what will be happening in the first semester, we want to give certainty, so we will offer online. That means that education will be online, exams will be online, at least for the first semester. Yeah. For the second semester, we haven't decided yet. But if we decide to continue in this, it depends a bit on how everything evolves. But you will be informed soon enough about it. This is, of course, true for students that are abroad, but also for some students within the Netherlands. If you have to take the public transport, I can imagine that these are not the best times to be very often in the public transport.
Yeah. Very strange times indeed. I do have some trouble following, listening to you. It's a bit strange to do everything online, listening and finding all the questions at the same time. So if you feel like
difficult, even though they say that women can do it very well.
I can't, unfortunately. So please, to all the participants, if you feel like I ask a question at the very beginning and she's just not getting to it, feel free to ask it again in the chat, and I'm trying my best. I think I saw a question about what is the main reason by Henya. What's the most common reason students tend to drop out? There are different reasons actually why students drop out. I think one of the main reasons we as study advisor often hear is that students don't very often they choose a program and then they don't really know what to expect, and see like or some students, many Dutch students are very young when they start studying and feel like during the studies that they might find something else that they are more interested in. So there are quite some different variety of reasons why students decide to drop out. Sylvia, do you have something to add?
I think that the expectations fits the most of it. So I think most of it is expectations about what they and some just figure out that the study is too difficult for them or too easy.
Yeah.
So it goes either way. Some decide throughout that they think like it should be more technical. I want to do something more advanced and move to econometrics, and some drop out because it's too difficult and they decide to go for a different program, different education. So it's very broadly what the decisions are.
Yeah, good point, actually. It can work both ways. I also saw a question by Floris. How does it work with that some things are in Dutch in the first year? The program is fully taught in English, but as a Dutch student, you do have the option in the first year to choose to follow tutorial groups in Dutch. But the lectures, exams, everything else will be in English. I hope that answers your question. And I'm searching for more questions.
Yeah, perhaps let me add one.
Yes, thank you. I'm not good with multitasking.
No, fine. I help you.
Thank you.
Perhaps to add to that, you should remember that economics is a very international program, in the sense that also when you start working, you will be working with people from all over the world. So in that sense, we offer the first year tutorials in Dutch for the Dutch students because, to facilitate the transition. But in the end, it is very important that you are also comfortable with talking in English, because in the end, you will end up working with a lot of international people. So in that sense, all material is in English. So it's not that it really hurts you, but I can imagine that at the beginning, the transition is a bit more difficult, and that's why we offer the Dutch. But you can also decide, I go for the English, even if I'm Dutch, because that's also, I think, a good option just to start immediately if you're comfortable enough with English.
Yeah, definitely. Good point, actually. I saw a question by, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Ajay. Probably not, sorry about that, but I love names and I want to try to pronounce them. Can international students also do Dutch classes? That's actually a nice question, because as Sylvia explained, there's you have some freedom to choose with this program in your third year. And if you choose for the option to follow free choice electives in the first semester of your third year, there is actually, since we have the option to follow 2 Dutch courses, and you can use them on your diploma, you can follow Dutch courses for credits, actually. So that might be nice to know.
Is this Dutch classes, or is it taking part in the Dutch tutorials? Perhaps I can...
Yeah, maybe, let me check. Well, I thought it was Dutch classes.
Yes, you enroll in one or the other, I think.
Yeah. No, I think he, here's a question by, I think it was about the tutorial groups, but there are so many more questions now, so I will
continue.
switch. I will continue. There's a question about the internship. Yes, that's a very nice question by Lily. If you decide to do an internship in the third year, does the school give you guidance, or is it only encouraged and you have to find one yourself? That's a good question. Actually, we actually do have our economics and business from our faculty. We have a career center. So that's a whole team full of very nice people who can help you with the procedure, especially relevant, I think, for international students. They organize workshops on how to find internships. They have a lot of information. There's a whole website online. They have a lot of information. So the university is definitely offering guidance and help with that. And we also have an internship coordinator who is helping you with the more academic side of the internship when you want to do an internship for credits. So there's definitely help provided. Let me check. Oh yeah, there is a question about the binding study advice from Anya. I think she was also responding to someone else, maybe, that it is correct that the binding study advice has been postponed this year due to the coronavirus, but it has been postponed until next year, as far as we know, because your question is basically if it will also be postponed for 2020-21 again due to different teaching process. That's a good question, but as far as we know at this point, there will be a binding study advice for the first year, because the teaching process, everything will be offered and guaranteed online, and we have a lot of experience with that now, so everything will go smoothly. I hope that answers your question.
So this year, the Corona crisis caught us a bit all by surprise.
Yeah.
And therefore, within the academic year, we really had to switch to a new educational system. Next year, we already start, so we are already preparing for the first year so that it goes smoothly. And so we don't expect that you are like hindered by it.
Yeah. Then we have another question. What if I have, from Benjamin, what if I have started the program and realized that this program is just not the right program for me? Is it possible to change, for example, to a program like business administration? Thinking maybe, Danny, can you maybe mention something about switching? Would that be okay?
Sorry, I also missed the question.
If it's possible to switch to business administration. When
yes.
you realize that it might be not the right choice.
For business administration, it's a specific story because the deadline is earlier in the year. So it's 15th of January for all target groups. It's because of the whole selection procedure, which is part of the enrollment procedure of business administration. So switching is possible, but only if you already decided during your first semester. So after the 15th of January, there's no possibility to switch to business administration anymore.
Let me perhaps add something to this. So if you have started, then you cannot start with business administration until September next year, because you have to go through the selection process. So it means that you can de-enroll before February, or you can continue during the year, but you have to participate in the selection process. So it's not that within the year you can switch to business administration. Yeah, because the number is fixed.
Yeah. We have one more question from Matthijs. For when the coronavirus is over, what is the average amount of hours you have to be at the campus per week? That's a good question as well, actually, because there is a lot of self-study for this program. But you do have the average amount. Sylvia probably knows better than me, but you do have you have 2 courses at the same time with lectures every week and tutorial groups. And I think per week that's just like our. Thank you.
14 hours a week.
14 hours a week, and then yeah, and including self-study, it's 40 hours per week for both courses. But you can of course choose to do the self-studying at home, even though we as study advisors hear from many students that they actually prefer to study on campus because of distractions. Let me just see.
And even more now. I mean, I get so many comments from students that they are like, oh, I would love to have the university library.
Yeah, I know. We get that as well a lot, actually. We actually have a website on our student website with tips on how to study at home, and we did a survey. So if you, you will find lots of information online and lots of tips and guidance once you start at our university.
Yeah, but perhaps apart from that, also relevant for other students, there's also a benefit of studying at university, because you can study with other students. And sometimes it's much more easier to ask like a fellow student, can you explain this to me? Do you understand it? And then you get into a discussion, and it's a much more active way of studying than everyone at home separate, not having any interaction. So there's really also a benefit of being on campus, even if you have no lectures.
Yes, thank you. I have one more question actually from Tanya. What are some differences between the UvA program of economics and business economics and the one in at Erasmus University? Silvia, do you maybe have an answer to that?
No, I always find it super difficult because in the end, economics and business, of course, so you should come to the University of Amsterdam. I'm working at the University of Amsterdam. It's a great program. That's what I should tell you. But if you look at the program itself, any economics program will have a very similar setup. So you need to have micro, you need to have macro, you need to have some basic business economics. So that we can tell that there are many differences, but in terms of programs, there are not so many differences. I think if we then look further, what can be the other options? I think that in terms of the third year, we offer you quite a lot of own space to choose your own program. So you can really design your program. The University of Amsterdam is a broad university. This also means that we have many different other disciplines within our university, and this also broadens the opportunity to take electives at other universities. So at other faculties within our university. So I think that these would be some of the things where we distinguish ourselves. So in terms of program, I don't think it's only perhaps the fact that we have this very third year that is very broad, and you can choose what you want to do and fit your interest. But of course, also the benefits of having a large university where we have many disciplines. I think it's the benefits as compared to another university.
Thank you. We actually got a related question. So I hope that it was partly, Matthijs, I think your question was maybe partly answered because you asked why should we choose the University of Amsterdam over the VU for the same program. One answer would be, of course, Silvia just gave an excellent answer. Also, it depends. Maybe also for some people, it might also be like that you prefer to be on campus, to have the whole Rutas Island campus and be in the center. Because I also saw a question about where the classes are being taught, if they're on campus again, and I don't remember who asked the question anymore because it was a while ago, but it will be all on Rutas Island campus. You don't have to travel through Amsterdam to attend classes.
Well, that's for the lectures, it might be.
Oh yeah, oh true, sorry. Yeah.
So the tutorials are predominantly, so the first semester, they will be now at home. So in the first semester, it's neither campus nor anywhere. Normally our classes, so the tutorial groups are predominantly on Rutas Island. Some of the lectures are not in Rutas Island, they're in the city center. So there is some traveling going on. But yeah, the campus is in the city center. Is this the reason why you should choose it? So normally what a good reason is, and this is really something which is very personal, and unfortunately now you cannot really get a feeling for it, is that people have a different feeling when they are at the University of Amsterdam than when they are at the Free University. And one of the two fits better with their character. And I think that that's something you cannot test at the moment. So I think all Dutch universities offering economics and business economics offer a great program, but we differentiate in some things. And one thing that is very important also is the feeling you have with the program. I think the University of Amsterdam is a great university, but of course, I'm not super objective.
Thank you. I have one more question by Benjamin. Is there a difference between Amsterdam Business School and Amsterdam School of Economics?
Yeah, so just perhaps to to push it a bit broader. So our faculty consists of 2 schools, the Amsterdam Business School and the Amsterdam School of Economics. You will not notice too much, so they are in different buildings, but in principle within economics and business economics, the teachers will come from both schools. So the economics courses are mostly taught by teachers from the Amsterdam School of Economics. That's the one that we see. That's basically the white building that you see on the screen. And the business economics courses are predominantly taught by teachers from the Amsterdam Business School, which is not on the picture here. But in terms of for a student, there should be no difference between the two. In terms also of reputation, we are ranked together. The accreditations that the business school has, we also have it at the School of Economics. We everything do jointly. So I think for students will not notice too much about the fact that there are 2 schools.
Thank you for that. I'm seeing that my colleague Danny is also very active answering all your admission and related questions in the chat. Are there maybe any other questions that I've missed which were from the beginning? Is there where, please? I would like to ask you to, because I'm scrolling as well, but as I said, bad with multitasking. So if you feel like I've forgotten your question, please enter it in the chat. How much is the tuition fee is the question from Lily to everyone. Lily, that depends on where you're from, because there's European citizen and Dutch citizens, of course, also get a discount, but the tuition fees for all other international students is, I believe, 10,000 euros per year, right?
Yeah, for non-EU.
Non-EU, yeah. You are Dutch.
I don't know the number by heart. I must say.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But it's
around. It's roughly around that, yeah.
And the other one is around 2.
And then another question: do undergraduate and graduate students in economics and business economics study in the same buildings?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So in principle, the lecture halls that we have within the University of Amsterdam, they are just jointly used by graduates and undergraduates. They are at the same place. You share the same study places with them, so it's all at the same place. Teachers teach both programs, so it's all mixed.
Thank you. And we got a question from Freya Shannon. Hello to Belgium as well. You're asking about the acceptance rate. We got that question, I think, maybe earlier on, and maybe Danny answered this probably as well. But it's when you fulfill the admissions requirement, you can be accepted to the program, right? So it's not, yeah.
No, you have to meet the requirements.
You have to meet the requirements in order to be admitted. Okay, are there, from Sarah, are there any research trainee programs offered where students get to work with professors? Sylvia, can I give that to you again?
Yeah, yes, of course. Not extremely active in the sense that in the past we didn't have it. I do see now some more opportunities where students are like hired as a research assistant. It's much less common than perhaps at other universities, but there are some opportunities. Although at the moment it's not extremely easy to get an idea about where they are.
Yeah,
we're trying to see whether we can make something structural, but for now we don't have it. But there are some opportunities, but we don't have a very structured way of offering this.
We have, thank you. We have one more question from Hina. What is discussed in tutorials? I think that might be also relevant for others to get a better idea. Yeah, maybe it's better if you answer that actually.
So in the lectures, the focus is on, they are a big group So it's mostly focused on explaining the theory by the teacher. So the interaction there is normally a bit smaller, although we try even within the big lectures to increase the interaction by having questions where we ask students to give their opinion and to see whether they really understand. But it's much more difficult to get interaction in a big group. The tutorials are in small groups, and there the focus is much more on you really solving the problems. The teacher is there to explain them. And there's a bit of variation in from course to course. In some courses you will be put to work and you start working on the problems, and the teacher is around to ask questions and answers more general issues that students have with the problems. In others, it's the teacher really explaining the problem and asking students to answer questions. So, but I think the difference is in the lectures, it's mostly about explaining the theory, while in the tutorials, it's much more of you learning how to apply the theory to real problems.
Thank you. The very nice answer. We have one more question from Tanya. If the spread of the corona crisis reduces, will the university start giving lessons at the campus in the first semester?
The first semester, everything will be guaranteed online. So that means that if you are abroad, you can expect that the first semester you will get offered the whole material online, and also the exams will be online. At some point, we might decide to offer some additional things on campus. We haven't decided about what exactly to offer on campus. The main difficulties or constraints that we have at the moment is that it's very difficult to predict how the virus will evolve. We have a lot of restrictions that are imposed on us from government in terms of distance. So having the right type of distance within the buildings, having not too much crowded areas within the building, using our space efficiently, but also making sure that students don't have to travel in rush hours, these type of things. So we are dealing with a lot of constraints. So for the first semester, you are guaranteed that things will be online, but we might offer some things offline, but that doesn't mean that then the online things will disappear. So the offlines will be on top of the online.
Thank you. You just answered the question actually by another student, if as an international student, if you can stay in your country the first semester. So thank you for taking that question as well. Another question from Lily. If I'm an undergraduate of this university, how many percentage or what is the percentage that you could successfully continue with your postgraduate studying, right? So you want to know how many students, I think, continue after their undergraduate studies, or what's the chance that you could?
So if you're...
I don't completely understand the question. Sorry, Lily. Oh yes, you say yes. Okay.
And if it's not an answer to the question, ask again the question in a different way.
Yes.
So our bachelor students that finish our bachelor program, the majority of them continues into a master program. That's around, roughly, I would say 80 to 90%. Some of them continue within our own university, and some students decide to go to a different university to do their master. Normally, the reason for this is that masters is more about specializing. We might not be offering a specialization that another university is offering. Some are very successful. They really continue in really top institutions their master, and this gives us also a view about the fact that our reputation is very good. So our students don't have, so they end up in good master programs. But you always
Thank you.
masters that are home.
Oh yeah, we said it simultaneously, Lily and me. We both said thank you. So we answered the right. I phrased the question correctly, and you answered what she wanted to know. We also have a question from eLife. What is the chance that the second semester will also be online? Sylvia already said a bit about the first semester, of course, that will be completely online. The second semester, the university is trying to go back to on-campus teaching if it's possible. So it depends, of course, how everything develops, but so we can't really say anything for sure now, but we are very much hoping that the second semester will be on campus, actually.
Yeah, and if this is the case and you are abroad, then we will inform you on time so that you can make the arrangements necessary.
Yeah.
But also from our side, yeah, I hate being at home. I'm so tired of my home. So so we have this meeting, but for me it's really awkward. And with teaching, so I've been also teaching when it was online. Even for teachers, you don't get the feeling with what students are getting, what not. So even for us, we would love to be on campus again.
Yeah, I can completely imagine, actually, because I have the same. I already find it really much more challenging to do the bachelor day online, and I'm not even talking that much. I only have the moderation task. And we have another question from Marie. When are the open days when the coronavirus will be over for undergraduate students? The open days are normally always in twice a year. In the next one would be in October. It's usually in October and in March. But since it is a very big event, it's hard to predict now if it can go through this October, this fall, actually. Sylvia, do you have any idea about that?
No idea. I think it mostly depends also on what government decides.
Yeah.
So the government decides to postpone again the events. So now they have been postponed at least until all events have been cancelled until the 1st of September. If things don't improve with the coronavirus, I can imagine that even the one in October will also not be feasible. And perhaps the most realistic estimate that I can make at the moment.
Yeah.
But otherwise, indeed, in October, November, it differs a bit, and in March. That's the 2 dates.
Yes, thank you about that. Oh yeah, Danny already answered. He's so fast, my colleague. He already answered. Thank you. I just wanted to say something about that. Are there maybe any other questions that I missed? I'm sure Danny answered everything about admissions, but are there any other questions that one of you are? Thank you. Yes, you are all very polite. We appreciate that. Do you have any more questions? This is about the application. Can you apply? But maybe that's, I think that's more, do we want to, yeah, Danny is taking care of that actually. Thank you. Is there anything else about the program, about the situation with Corona? Any questions or any doubts whether this might be the right fit that we can help you with? Yes, we will, the release date, I don't know that right now, but we already asked a colleague and we will let you know.
Release date of what?
Of the Amsterdam Merit Scholarship.
Okay. No, perhaps.
Sorry, no, I don't think I thought. What is the usual size? That's a nice question. Thank you. What is the usual size of the lectures? How many students, I think you mean, are usually like at lectures?
Yeah, the lectures are the big ones. So lectures are really all students together. And some courses have them split up because we think it's better for these courses. But the whole group together would be around 500 in a lecture, max. And some courses then have it split up in 250, 250. The tutorials are around, we schedule them around 30 to 35. Then we have the smaller groups, which are basically where you get some mentoring, and these are half of the tutorial groups. So that's basically 17.
Nice.
15 to 20. It's a bit different.
Thank you for the clarification. We have one more question from Benedita. How is the situation in Amsterdam regarding the coronavirus? We are all working from home, but like Amsterdam or the Netherlands is not in complete lockdown. So we have the rule that we have to, need to stay apart and stay at home as much. But they're currently allowing also opening schools again, so it looks quite good. I think you also mean probably in terms of infections, right? Because we had a lot of safety measures and they seem to be working number-wise. I think that's maybe also your question. So it is looking a lot better than it was in March, actually. The measurements from the government seem to have an effect. And there's another question. How many classes from Luca? How many classes can you predict will begin on campus in September? Sylvia already said something about that before. We can't unfortunately make any predictions. Everything will be for sure for the whole semester online because of our international students. I don't dare to make any predictions at this point if it's possible to allow some online things.
No, I think that anything that will be on campus is really on top. It's basically I don't think there will be really complete classes on campus.
Yeah.
September, or at least in the first semester.
Yeah.
So it's more like on top of what we offer for the rest. So in that sense, I don't. Yeah. We have too many restrictions to keep in mind to be able to do this in a safe way for everyone. So we don't want to risk anyone's health. Given that we cannot make predictions now, we have decided just to go for the safe option.
Thank you. We have one more question from Matthijs. 1 second. How does, I lost it again. How does the university cope with students who are doing something else besides studying, for example, work internationally or doing something else on a serious level, like making music, acting? Do we have a special program or type of status for those kind of students? I can actually say something about that, but of course, Sylvia, you can add if you like. There is like a sort of thing called the top sports status, and if you fulfill certain requirements that you do sports at a very high level, and that you have to spend like that you do professional sports, or that you are at Young Oranje, for example, some selection like at a really high level, then you can get a top sports status, and then you can the university, there's a lot of the university will support also to can help you with planning your studies a bit around it, and you can sometimes get exceptions. But with music, acting, it's not possible in the first year at least, because in the first year you have the binding study advice, and it's important then that you pass 8 of the 10 courses to get your positive binding study advice. Once you have your binding study advice, your bachelor courses are valid for 6 years. So if you have like something, if you decide in the second year, for example, that you want to divide your course load a bit, it is possible in principle, even though we do recommend normally to do the courses in the way that they're structured. But you can, for example, decide to take less courses in the second year once you have your positive binding study advice, and study a bit longer. That's up to you if you want to have more time for other things. I hope that answers your questions. Let me see, there's some more questions actually. Thijs, can you also follow other courses from other universities during your minor? I think you're referring to the third year, the first semester, where you have the freedom to choose. it is actually possible to follow minor. There's a whole arrangement of minors that are offered by our university, but it's also possible to follow minors at other Dutch universities. So you have quite some freedom to choose.
Yeah, you even have freedom to choose some electives and just.
Yes, exactly.
So in the end, you can. So the rules are basically that as long as it doesn't have overlap with your curriculum, so the courses in your curriculum, and it's a university course from a second year or third year program, then you should be able to follow it. Mm-hmm. And you have to ask for permission, but you can follow electives at other universities as long as they don't overlap with the course content that you have in your own curriculum.
Yeah, thank you.
And minors, of course. So we have also students taking minors at other universities. So it's fine.
I have another question. What are the extracurricular opportunities available for students to develop their practical business and entrepreneurial skills? I think, oh yeah, you also asked it twice, maybe, so sorry, it took a bit longer to get an answer actually.
So we have, perhaps, shall I do a start and then you can?
Thanks, yeah.
So we have a career center and they are involved also within our curriculum in the first year. So there they offer different courses that are really more directed at practical skills. Think of presentation skills. Think of using, for example, Excel in such a way that it can help you in presentations or presenting your results. So these more practical skills are part of the smaller groups that we offer in the first year, and they will be throughout the whole year. So you will start with getting guidance in how to study, how to use your time efficiently, but also these more practical skills. Then this career center also offers extracurricular opportunities in the form of courses that you can take that are related to career. They offer also a CV check. They offer many opportunities in which you can improve your presentation to the business world. And perhaps also we have study associations that are very active also in organizing activities like career days. So these are also opportunities where you can be in a committee, help organize these career days, be involved with talking to companies. So this would be then another route to get some extracurricular activities.
Nice. I couldn't have said it any better. But to sum up, there's a lot of support and a lot that you can do at our university, actually. Are there any more questions that we haven't answered yet? Because the chat became a bit more quiet, so I hope that it means that we answered all your questions and that you got the information that you need. I think it does, so maybe we can conclude this session, right? Thanks a lot to all of you for joining. It was a pleasure to have you, even though we could not see you actually, which is a shame. But I hope that, we hope that we will get to see some of you or most of you in person, Sylvia during teaching and me giving study advice. So thank you for joining. Thanks for all your thank yous in the chat. That's very nice actually. And we wish you all the best in these strange Corona times, and have a nice weekend.
Good luck with making a choice, and hope to see you in September.